10, 9, ignition sequence start, 6.
Hello, and welcome to Rocket Fuel, your daily update of everything that's happening in the Rocket Pool community. My name is Wack. Today is November 27th, and we've got a quick episode for you all today, but it's full of some really interesting stuff. So we're going to get started once again with some Lido news. So Lido, as you know, are way too big, doing all sorts of messed up things to kind of take control of Ethereum. And now we got news of a new Lido node operator called P2P org. And here Tony shares the tweet saying P2P org announces that it will call get header later in the slot, trading off chain stability against more MEV profits. This is exactly the decentralization behavior that shouldn't be tolerated as long as we as users have the choice about where to stake our assets. And then goes on to say, we can already see this behavior playing out on MEVboost.pix soon. I'd encourage users to go for another staking pool that doesn't play games and relays to slightly delay the delivery of bids to those parties that value profits more than decentralization. So let's try to figure out what this actually means. So if we go to the Discord, Jasper shared this tweet. And then he followed up with this information from the ping server, and he says, context, if you have a window in which to call header to submit your block when you're the proposer in staking. It says the extra time is designed to allow slightly late submissions without hurting the network. However, a study earlier this year found that waiting to the extreme allows for more bids to flow to relays and enables more profitable blocks to be built. As such, there's an incentive to wait until the very last moment to submit a block. However, this makes the safety window useless. So what does this mean? So what happens is when you're building a block, there's a part of that block where the block proposer gets all the different information from block builders, and they kind of get that together, and then they say, yeah, this is good. And when they say this is good, then they send it off to be tested, I think. I'm not really up to date on all the technicals of the exact process that happens, but basically there's a 4-second window where this process takes place. And by waiting until the very end of those 4 seconds, you have a bigger chance of more transactions or more information going to the relays, which means that more bids going to the relays, which means that you can get an outsized share of transactions for that block, which means that your block is then more profitable if they bid up the MEV or tips or all that kind of stuff, then you get a better block. Now, what impact does this have? Let's see what Jasper said here, and then we'll go to some takes next. So here, Yorick, who is actually also a Lido node operator through Crypto Manufacturer, says that Lighthouse basically will reorg late blocks by default. So that's a defense no. So basically what's happening is that this has been known for some time, and only now are people like P2P org, they are trying to utilize that and kind of use that in their own block creation. And as a Lido node operator, of course, they've got over 1% of the network goes through them. So they get an awful lot of blocks every day, and they will then use those to maximize their own profits while limiting the person who builds the block after them. So what the impact, basically what Jasper's kind of talking about here and what others have said, is that by doing this, you kind of hurt the rewards of other people who aren't doing this, because you're kind of taking their rewards a little bit, and you're also and then other people will have to kind of compete with this to get their own share back. Basically, what happens with this though is that if your hardware or if your internet connection is not up to waiting until the last moment, then the person who built the block before you will be taking bids that could have been coming into you. They're taking it. And if you wait until the last moment, it might be that you miss the slot and you aren't able to produce a block. So this will lead to things like chain instability. It will cause centralization to those who can use this technique maximally, because their APRs will be higher than people who can't do this. So it's a centralization force. And all of these things together kind of had a lot of people worried this weekend about what's happening here. So Yorick said that, Lighthouse has a defense built in, and he just replied by saying Yorick seems to be suggesting that people who do this should be reorged. More context, and there's a link to Lighthouse GitHub, I think. Yep. And then Yorick says, yep, I like the idea of that default reorg of late blocks as widely deployed as feasible. Jasper says, I like it. However, there's some legitimate people who get hit. For example, Coinbase submits late blocks usually because of their convoluted signing system. And then Val says, Jasper quotes Val, says, maybe we can discern between those two. Val says, I meant post facto. It'd be possible to add live with a tweak, I think. Yorick says, I'm not really worried about Coinbase being slow because of them being convoluted. Improve your stuff. They have the funds to throw at it, at DevOps to make it happen. And Val says, that's a fair take if it gets clobbered. But essentially, all of these options boil down to we punish late, so you can't play games too hard. But then the problem is that, if you punish late, then genuine like solo stakers, etc., might need the extra time to produce their block in time, and they might technically get punished in certain situations. So Lucas says, where exactly does the instability happen? Please elaborate. Val says, yeah, if you call it too late, the next block, some folks will see a proposal and some won't because it was too late. So it impacts who sees it in the next block as well. So there's some issues there. Jasper says if you have some weird latency, then they'll miss their block because they have zero buffer instead of the buffer the network normally allows. And Val says, so you get missed proposals sometimes and worse splits in the chain that can lead to reorgs one way or another. It all works out in the end, but it just means the chain state is in realistic flux longer. And then there was some discussion over here as well that you can go and read if you're in the ping server. That's where this discussion was taking place. Then on Reddit, there were a couple of takes. I'm going to read my take that I posted on Reddit yesterday. And this was the most updated comment on Reddit yesterday. So I said, Lido are up to some fuckery again. I said in this post, Tony shows how a Lido node operator P2P org. So this was actually run by Vasily, who is a co-founder of Lido. I said they've announced that they'll start waiting to produce blocks. There's a function called get header that the block proposer is supposed to call at time equals 0, but node operators have until time equals 4 seconds to help home operators who might have latency issues. By waiting to call that function, they get up to 4 seconds more of MEV into their blocks. The impact of this it'll further centralize Ethereum to organizations who have the ability to still produce blocks while waiting the longest amount of time. Home operators or decentralized services would not be able to wait so long because they're more likely to then fail in block production. It says people will go to services that give them the best yield in LSTs without thinking about the potential impact on the Ethereum network. And then of course those who play these games will have the best yields. And then it says Lido literally have the golden goose in their possession, but they're killing it. It's extremely short-sighted and it might have horrendous impacts to the rest of us stakers. Please speak out against this. So then there were a whole lot of comments. So there was discussion that kind of came up from this as well. And it was quite a good discussion, I think, that was happening, with some really good points that were made there. And then also on Reddit, let me actually change this so it's a bit easier for you all to see. Also on Reddit yesterday, Huarog had this comment as well, saying Lido, or in today's news, P2P org, seem to be hell-bent on twisting the base layer of their value extracting goals. The announcement of P2P to slightly delay the block production is nothing else than stealing the MEV from the following proposer to fill their pocket and increase STETH's APR. In the long term, this hurts the decentralization and credible neutrality narrative. The protocol cannot defend itself against all attacks these attackers are planning already or potentially could do if they grow larger. The question is then, how can the layer 0 defend the protocol? Awareness campaigns have been important, but we can only get so far. Lido has received a lot of pushback from layer 0 and Ethereum Foundation researchers. Lido and today P2P seem to be unfazed by this. In my view, any long-term player in the Ethereum space would have taken the hint, but apparently Lido does not think they have to change their approach and pushes even harder. That's why I'm personally ready to go a step further. I'm not ready yet to slash Lido, any large bad actor, to a more reasonable level. I'm not against this approach, but I think we're just not there yet. At the moment, I can imagine myself installing a node software which does the following. Just to be clear, I'm not a protocol expert, so I might be describing things wrong. And he says, don't get attestations from Lido validators, don't accept blocks built by Lido node operators, and don't include Lido attestations in other block per building. So in my understanding, Lido only has a fraction of the actual nodes in the network. They've got like 35 nodes. So we, the solo stakers and rocket pool operators, have large leverage in forwarding attestations and blocks. All these steps should definitely also hurt the credible would also definitely hurt the credible neutrality of the network and set a bad precedent, but it's something each and every node operator can decide for themselves. If successful, it would send a clear signal to any large staking provider that there might be a limit one should not cross. So I'm not endorsing the comments of this post, but this is the point where people are kind of reaching now, where they are reaching some really like strong reactions. And people, here, Rooftop Porta Potty says, I would run this client. Tricky Troll says, I would do the same. Lido is a bad faith actor. And then there was some interesting questions that were coming up about, this being the protocol design, and that they're technically working within the rules. This is an issue that we've known for a long time, but those discussions, I'll let you all find those arguments and you can explore those on your own. Here, what I will share is Vlad, and Vlad is also someone who works at P2P org, and he says, Tony, it's really important that you raise this topic, but let's be honest and try to understand whether this actually leads to a centralization issue and how MEV request delays affect the network's health. So this is a tweet thread, and he says, network health, did we delay the time of the bid request? Yes, but did we shift the block proposing time? No. This is evident at least in your chart where P2P org has the lowest variance and select build time not exceeding 1 second. And it says, do P2P org trade off stability, having one of the lowest miss rates among the network, 0.17% last month. And it says, research over the years shows more validators experimenting with MEV delays, not prohibited by the protocol. Its use is likely to rise. We advocate for healthy delay practices, actively promoting this approach. And then there's a screenshot of how you can and can't delay MEV. It says you can't delay the MEV request too much for two reasons. One, the validator has 4 seconds to receive bid, sign the block, and send it to the MEV relay, leaving enough time for the block propagation within the network. High delay in MEV request shifts block propagation and can lead to block misses. It says late blocks due to high delay will lead to an increased number of forks and reorgs, since some nodes won't receive new blocks timely. Speaking about the second point, the plot below shows that 95% of blocks utilize bids submitted before 1.1 second. Having that, we're about 0.1% reorgs currently. Increasing MEV requesting delay too much may increase the number of reorgs drastically. So then Vlad goes on to say, questioning participation of prioritization of profits over decentralization is baseless as well. P2P org pioneered opt-in MEV relays, empowering user choice. We're committed to client diversity, contributing to DVT and its Lido integration for solo stakers. We also support Haleshki network, maintaining 100,000 Genesis validators, and do much more, all with a single aim to build a decentralized future. Let's not distort the facts. So in that case, Evan Jones here replied by saying the Ethereum Foundation thinks what you're doing is harmful for the network. And then there's a link to a tweet thread from Casper, who is, I guess, someone who works with the Ethereum Foundation. So this, you can, I've kind of presented both sides of the argument. I have clearly stated what my position is, but you all can read about it and find out a little bit more yourselves if it's something that you're curious about. But I think this is just another, piece of evidence in the long list of things where we can say that Lido is a profit maximalist and not a good actor, but you can reach your own decisions yourself. Okay, next we got some really good news, fun news that happened yesterday. So we had the RPL Benefactor put in a transaction hash in, or transaction link actually in Discord, and then he said, I have RPL. So if we have a look over here, the RPL that the Benefactor was talking about was this RPL that was, some ETH that was sent by me that added up to being about 110 RPL. At the time, it was about $3,000. So the price have come down a little bit now. So here Dukey says, what are the rules? But I said, Benny and I will share the rules tomorrow or on Tuesday, depending on things. So I said 300 episodes this week. On Friday, we'll have the 300th episode of Rocket Fuel. And I said $3,000, but there's going to be more to it. But I'm not Patricio or Thomas, so this is going to be a community thing. So then what happened today was I made this post this afternoon saying, here's the deal. You were all amazing and got me thousands of dollars in the previous Gitcoin grants round. Rocket Fuel, I remember I talked about it on Rocket Fuel a few times, so I'm sure a whole bunch of you guys were contributors to that, so thank you so much. Well, the majority of that money now is going to the RPL Benefactor. So I said Rocket Fuel will have its 300th episode on Friday, December 1st, so I decided to donate $3,000 of the grant amount to the RPL Benefactor to donate to you all. However, $3,000 is shrimp money because I'm a shrimp, but I want the money to come to you all to be whale money. So I set a target of $10,000 for all to raise for Benny. So I said, how will we raise the money? First of all, you can become the benefactor by buying the donation POAP, and then there's a link to the checkout that we're going to have a look in a second. And it says the POAP costs $100. All money will go to Benny to be donated to you all. I said on top of that, I'll be hitting up some whales, the team, etc., and asking them to donate if they want to donate more than $100, from buying the POAP. So then I go on to say, if by Friday Benny's wallet has crypto worth $10,000, he'll convert everything he has to RPL and distribute to you all. If he doesn't, then Benny will return the crypto to those who donated. And then I said, I'll let Benny come up with the rules of how it's distributed. I'm sure he'll let you know soon. So what I meant here was that the goal is to raise $10,000 of crypto, and if the $10,000 target is not hit by Friday when I release the 300th episode, then, well, maybe up till the end of the day Friday, if the $3,000 target is not hit, $10,000 target is not hit by then we'll all be called off, and everyone who put money in will get their money back. We'll get the money back. But if we hit $10,000, then round 3 of distribution from the RPL Benefactor will start, and that will happen. So let's have a look, and then we'll come back here. So here is the POAP. The POAP says I am the benefactor, and if we have a look, we got some information here. So the description is on December 1st, 2023, Wack hosted the 300th episode of Rocket Fuel, his daily news show about the Rocket Pool community and protocol. In celebration, Wack donated $3,000 to RPL Benefactor, a member of the Rocket Pool community known for distributing RPL to community members. Wack donated the money with the caveat that the whole community must rally to reach $10,000 in total donations. Once that amount was reached, the RPL Benefactor would distribute the RPL to members of the community. However, if that amount was not reached by December 1st, the RPL ETH whatever would be sent back to donors. This POAP was part of the fundraising drive to reach the $10,000 target. This POAP was sold using a POAP checkout with the aim of reaching the $10,000. And the people who bought the POAP donated $100, which is the cost of the POAP, to the RPL Benefactor for the benefactor to distribute to the Rocket Pool community. In donating their money, they became the RPL Benefactor. This POAP was created by Schifrin, and it was distributed by Wack through POAP checkout. So as you can see over here as well, the payment goes to the RPL Benefactor. You can see that at the bottom, it's not coming to me, it's not going to anyone else. And the benefactor, of course, has distributed thousands of dollars worth of RPL. So I think they're pretty trustworthy as a person. The POAP here says, I am the benefactor, and it kind of riffs off the Benny's profile picture on Discord. So it's a really cool POAP. 12 of them have already been sold. So that's over $1,000 that's already come in. Here, if we have a look, let me actually refresh the page. So you can see some of the amazing people who have already bought the POAP. So we have Pooling Smoothie, Emma Lynn, and there's an address, rpl.eth, brandonh.eth, rocketpoop.eth, Steely Ninja, mosin.eth, ramana.eth, baldin.eth, rplmaxi.eth, and me. I didn't pay for the POAP. I minted it myself, so there's that missing. But people are already buying it, which is really cool. So if we go back to the Discord, you can see here that there are 100 POAPs available, and that will take us over the 10,000 amount, but people can keep buying it if they want, and if the 100 sell out, then I'll request more mint codes. There were some issues with the payment initially, but I think that's been fixed now. Dondo here was kind of funny. He says, "Dear 2021 self, I wish I could explain, but you'd never understand. Life as you know it will cease to be, and you're unprepared." And there's a screenshot of this POAP costs $100. And then the RPL Benefactor came into Discord and he says, who should get RPL ideas? So people were kind of sharing their ideas on who should be getting RPL, and there were some different ideas about, people who've got high cost basis, node operators who are under collateralized, everyone who bought the POAP, or everyone that contributed to Rocket Fuel who have Rocket Fuel POAPs. And then Albert says people with OWL in the names. Owlage says give the people who bought the POAP double. Potato says IMC GMC members. And then there was a whole bunch of other suggestions. And I said that I like the idea of people who contributed to Rocket Fuel, but I'll leave the distribution criteria up to Benny, and Benny can decide who gets the RPL and how much they get and all that kind of stuff. The main thing is that we get to that $10,000 mark, so there's a nice amount that people will be getting. So people then were just kind of talking about that, and it's when Benny's in town, like the mood of the Discord just lifts so much. So it's always really great to see that. Yeah. Okay, next we have this post from Ken where he's talking about how to apply for EthDenver. So for some of you who don't know, like EthDenver is an annual Ethereum conference. It's one of the big community conferences for Ethereum. So it's more about community members and people in the community than like developers. But of course, everyone attends because it's awesome. So Ken says, the application for next year's EthDenver conference has opened now, and he says attached is a communication that I got with the simple instructions as follows. It takes about 5 to 10 minutes of your time. So he says, 1, go to EthDenver to apply. 2, there's a video that you can watch. He says you can recognize some of the rocket poolers in the video who are jumping around in the onesie Buffycorn suits. And then he says 3, you click on the apply to attend EthDenver or BBB Spork Whale VIP button. They both appear in to be the same destination at the moment. It says the link should be ethdenver.summon.xyz. So he says to qualify for a free ticket, or to apply, you have to do 3 things. So either you stake at least 1 Spork to get an S Spork token. It says if you attended last year, then you should have some Spork in the wallet that you got your ticket at on Polygon. So it says if you went last year, you should have airdropped some Spork. If you do not have Spork, there's alternative ways that you can complete it. It says complete the alternative quest of promising to stake Spork when you get some this year. It says then you add an email address. You can use a burner email address, but remember that your tickets will go to this address. So keep that in mind. Make sure there's something that you can check. And then fill out the apply application and share some of your interests so they can plan out the schedule, and then click submit. So Ken then has his own tip saying a possible strategic play is pick up one of the floor BBB NFTs, which is worth around 0.04 ETH, and then there's a link to where you can buy them. It says keep this in your wallet that you register with. In the past, they've had semi-VIP benefits that made it worth the price of the NFT, and of course you can also sell the NFT later as well, potentially. So you get faster line access, you get lounge with drinks, you get snacks and games, and a quiet place to get away from the crowds, which is quite nice. So then Ken shared all that information, which was really nice. Thank you, Ken, for that. So get applying to Denver, get your plans going. There's of course this EthDenver thread where people are kind of discussing getting everything sorted out, and the process of staking their Spork token. Some people had issues because of bridging and having Matic token to pay for gas on Polygon and all these other things. So there might be some friction. So don't leave it too late before you take the steps needed to get your ticket. because EthDenver is the best party in town. So definitely keep that in mind. Okay, next we had this really cool thing from Butter, who shared it on Twitter earlier today, saying, I built Ethereum GPT, which was trained with the consensus layer API specifications. If you're a builder looking to access specific data or just have a question about staking, try it. So here there's a link to the specific agent, that Ethereum GPT, which will give you answers about questions. So like, for example, here there's a conversation, like, can you tell me about attestation rewards? And then the GPT is telling you about attestation rewards, saying, attestation rewards in Ethereum are determined by several factors, can be achieved using specific API endpoints, and then it gives you code and gives you all the different information there. So then Butter also added on saying it also uses Ben Eddington's ETH2 book as a preferred knowledge base, so it can pull the information from there as well. So a lot of people started giving really positive feedback. Casper said, I did almost exactly the same a couple of days ago and had GPT write a script to scrape all EIPs into a PDF and added that too. Can share if you'd like. And then there's other people as well saying that there's some shortcomings with the model still, and we might be missing some information, but there's a lot of people really praising this. So if you want fingertip access to a question answering service for your Ethereum questions, then click on the link that Buddha shared in the tweet and you can get started. Okay, finally we're going to end today's episode with this talk from Justin Drake, where he talks about single one-shot signatures and how they're going to work. So Justin's talked about this a long time ago, like in a bunch of different places, and this is the thing that he thinks is like 10-15 years away on the roadmap. So he says one-shot signatures, surprising outcome from mixing cryptography with quantum physics. We'll discuss the crazy cryptography behind one-shot signatures, as well as how they radically change the end game for the blockchain industry. The talk is for futurists. This is the new moon math. So the thing with this talk is, in these 46 minutes, you can watch it yourself, is Justin talks about how these single-shot signatures are necessary for making Ethereum quantum resistant. But one of the side effects is that we won't need 800,000 validators on the network to once the system goes into place. We've got way too many validators. So Justin says, there'll be enterprises like Google and others that'll be able to run everything, and because it'll all be like ZK-fied and all the code will be easily verifiable, you'll see that everything is like supposed to be the way it's supposed to be. But it'll be a much there won't be a necessity for so many stakers. So if you are in Rocket Pool, and you plan on staking for a really long time, then keep that in mind, because it might be that your staking system won't be as future proof as you might think it is. It might not be the path to generational wealth, like Superfizz likes to say. It might just run for 10-15 years until other systems come into place. But anyway, I'm going to enter this episode there. Thank you all for watching, listening, and being part of the Rocketful community. I hope you all had a lovely weekend, and get buying that POAP. I think Benny's going to be up to some of Superfizz's games maybe, so definitely keep that in mind. But I will see you all tomorrow. Bye.